I'm gonna make this video quick on how I got my Mexican passport. And I got two now, the US and the Mexico one. But this is for the Mexican passport, on the steps on how I did it from the United States to a Consulado of Mexico in the United States. Now, the first step is you have to make a phone call to make an appointment. The phone number for all Mexico and the United States, it all depends what prong you press at a certain time, but I'm not gonna confuse you on that. That for me, I was in Mexico making a phone call from the US, and then I had to call again and listen more carefully. The phone number is 424-309-0009. It's gonna be on the captions on the bottom. And on the prongs, I press prong 211. It's going to ask you for the zip code. You're going to type in the zip code that you reside on or where you're planning to do it at. I recommend you don't put the zip code, we'll say, of where the consulado is, but where you're at. And I'll explain later why. After that, you press prong 1 and 1, and you're going to talk to somebody. At that point, I'm going to give you what happened to me. I called and I was trying to do it at a certain consulado, and they told me they don't do passports there. And I told them, what's the nearest one? Since I put the zip code of that area, they say there's nothing nearby. They're all far away. And the closest one is X amount of miles north. I told him, what's the one in the south? Because he was directing me to the north. And he told me one that is actually close to my city. And that's why I recommend you to put the zip code of your city, not where you plan to do the passport. At that point, I said, I want it right there. And that led to where I had to go after my appointment. I set my appointment to the consulado on that certain day. Now, what did I need? For me, I used my birth certificate from Mexico and the driver license, but you could use the credencial para votar, cédula profesional, título profesional, certificado de nacionalidad, driver license of Mexico, residency card, the IMSS, or Eden, I believe it's Eden and not IMSS. And I know I said some of them in Spanish, but the top two that I use, or the ones that I use, is the birth certificate of Mexico and the US driver license. I'm going to get back to the birth certificate later, the one that I use, because I'm going to tell you all my procedure, what happened. At that point, I went to go do the steps. I go to the consulado. There's a police on the front, just to give you a visualization of what's going to happen or what might happen on your consulado. And he looked at the appointments, he saw my appointment, and he said, here, fill up this paper. I started filling up that paper. That paper, you're going to give it to the person inside, and they're going to start typing it. And I'll explain after that. Just remember that paper. Step 2, I went inside. Step 3, they told me that my birth certificate is not valid. I had to pay $19 because it's not valid. It's a red one that I have, that I got it in Mexico. But apparently there's a stamp that says something about this is not the original, or this is not valid, or whatever the case might be, that I paid an additional $19, and he gave me a birth certificate, a Mexican birth certificate, but it's green now. I filled up additional paperwork. So now I have two paperworks. Step 4, I went to another window and I took my photos, prints, my fingerprints, sign, and I verified the paperwork that I did outside. And I'm not sure if I verified the ones inside, but I verified it, then I signed it. And on step 5, in the final stage, I went to a different window and I paid for my passport. Now, for the cost of the passport, as of today, a 3-year passport A 3-year passport is $96. A 6-year is $130. A 10-year is $198, and that's what I paid. For me, I'm not sure if they accepted cards, but I paid cash because on the phone it said cash. So I paid cash for 110 years in addition to my birth certificate of $19. I do recommend you to get the correct birth certificates because they might not be available. Because when I did my birth certificate, I forgot to mention this. He said it might not be available. Let me go check. It might not be available, maybe because your birth certificate was made in a certain place or whenever you made the birth certificate. For me, I got my birth certificate as a dual citizen last year. And maybe it was not yet registered, or maybe it was incorrectly registered, or whatever the case might be, that he had to go verify. But I had a copy. And that's about it. Just call that number, like I said. Use the prompts that I mentioned, and everything is gonna be fine. Hopefully you like my video. Hopefully, if you're doing your passport, everything goes fine. Take cash. Be on time. There was a lady there that she was late, and now she was doing the walk-ins, and I noticed that somebody that came after her that was trying to get a walk-in, because she was there probably like 30-40 minutes, I don't know how long, that they said that they're no longer accepting walk-ins. And this was early in the morning. I believe it was like 10 a.m. So you figure it out, if they closed at around 4, and they were not accepting walk-ins no more because there's X amount of people trying to do walk-ins. One thing that I forgot to mention is how fast did I get my passport. My passport, when I paid, they already had my passport ready. I'm not sure if that's the case in every consulado. Depends also on how many people or everything that they're doing in the consulado. So I got mine within 1 hour and 30 minutes from the time that I entered to the time that I exited in the consulado. Thank you for watching again.